everyone, welcome back to my craft table. So today I'm going to try something so new. I'm so excited. For the first time, I'm going to try Infusible Ink Transfer Sheets. I finally got brave and decided to step out of my comfort zone, and I'm going to be putting I'm going to be putting a design on this canvas makeup bag that I had bought these off of Amazon, and I use these for gifts and whatnot. And I did try a little swatch on the inside, and it really takes this infusible ink very well. So I thought I would take the outside and put on here markers, because I do have the infusible ink markers, and it'd be a great way to organize those pens and keep them separate from my regular Cricut pens. So the supplies we need for today is, of course, the makeup bag, the infusible ink. We're going to need our Cricut mat to cut the to cut the infusible ink. We're going to need some cardstock for the heating process, the press mat, and then just basic tools like a measuring tape, heat transfer tape, not regular transparent tape, but heat transfer tape, scissors, and possibly some tweezers. So I have all of my supplies. So let's step over to Design Space and get our design going. Okay, so I'm in Cricut Design Space, and I'm going to make a shape of a rectangle the size of my cosmetic bag. And the cosmetic bag, I'm actually going to hit this little lock button to unlock it. I know that the cosmetic bag is about 4, if I don't include the little portion where the zipper is, I've got about 4 inches to work with. So that'll be actually the height is 4 inches. I need to change the width. The width is going to be, and I want to avoid the seams on either end. So just inside the seams, I've got about 7. So 7 by 4 inches. And we'll give this a minute. Okay, so here's our box that is 7 wide by 4 inches tall. And I'm actually going to change it to like a light canvas looking color. It's really not quite yellow, so I'll just move over here. That looks a little more like canvas. And then I'm going to go into images, and I'm just going to search for the word markers. And I don't know that I want to cut markers out of infusible ink, but I would like something that is pretty easy to try for this first project. So I actually think I'm going to go up to the top. I'm just going to use this word right here, markers. Add to canvas, and that will put it right here. And I'll move it to the top and resize it. Okay, so next I'm going to select both items, go to Align, and hit Align Center. So this is what will look like when I get this all together. And I've chosen a printed pattern for today. So this will not be a solid color. It'll be a really cool printed pattern. I guess it'd be like leopard or cheetah. I don't know. But it's actually going to be a little more reddish. Ooh, like this. So I think that's going to look great. Okay. So let's go over to our make screen and see if we need to make any adjustments. Okay, first off, we have this markers. That's perfect, and it is on a red mat because I simply chose a red color. I actually don't need to cut out this box here. I can hide it, or I could cancel and then go back to my layers panel and just hide the rectangle. I don't even need to have that be cut out because it's going to be a canvas bag. So we have our markers, and it looks like it's one big welded attached design. I don't need to do anything with it, so this is going to be perfect. All right, and then it's going to be on a mat, And oh, very important note, we want to mirror. Since we're going to be treating this like iron-on, like HTV, we do need to mirror our image. So that is extremely important. And then I'm going to hit continue, connect to our maker. And then I'm going to have to come over here to browse all materials. And I'm just going to type in Infusible Ink Transfer Sheet. And I'm going to go ahead and bookmark that because I have a feeling that I'm going to be using Infusible ink quite a bit. So I'm going to hit done. And I want to do more pressure. I tend to like more pressure when I'm working with vinyl. Well, I'm going to see what I need here. Let's see. Fine point blade, I got that ready to go. Okay, so let's go back to the overhead camera and get our materials ready for cutting. So when you open your box, and I did open this a little bit earlier, but when you open your box, it comes in a black bag because the transfer sheets are light sensitive. You also want to make sure that your hands are clean and dry. You don't want to have lotion or perfume, anything on there. Okay, I'm going to pull this out. And you want to save this black bag. All right, so the things that come in your box are, you've got a little infusible ink instruction. It says, before you begin, carefully follow instructions at, and it has a website for you to go to. It has one of those desiccant packets to keep everything dry and free of moisture. And then you get a swatch of cloth if you want to test out what these colors are actually going to look like. Then you can test that on the swatch of material that they've provided. You are also given a couple of sheets of butcher paper, and I've done a little bit of research. Butcher paper and parchment paper are not the same, and in my kitchen I use parchment paper for everything. For my HTV, I use parchment paper. So I have ordered a huge roll of butcher paper because that is, everywhere I've looked, it is said that you need butcher paper specifically for the infusible ink. Okay, and then these are the color sheets. All right, so this beautiful pattern, this is what I'm going to use to cut out. And you can tell that it's, you know, not as vibrant as the box. This is a pretty good rendition, but when you apply the heat, the color infuses into your fabric and becomes more vibrant. The other page, which you can see is definitely very muted, will turn this color after it has been heated. And so I have a little example to show you. I wanted to see, I could not find anywhere if these were had enough polyester in the count. So I just went ahead and tried a test swatch, and it came out beautiful. Like, you can't tell that that was not part of the original product. And you can see that it is, I mean, it's pretty darn close. But this is what it looked like when I placed it on there. And then once I applied the heat, it turned dark like this. So I'm so excited that this infusible ink will work on these canvas bags, because this opens up a whole new world of possibilities for these canvas bags, which I use all the time for lots of things. Okay, so went ahead off camera and I got the transfer sheet cut down to size so that I can save as much material as possible, and I put everything back in that black bag. I did tape it closed and put it back in its box. That way I can keep that material very dry and ready to go. Okay, and I'm going to use just my standard grip mat. Okay. So shiny side down, and we're going to put it in place. All right, I'll load that. You let that get cut out. Okay, our design is all cut out, so we're going to flip over the mat and going to pull it off and set that aside. Okay, so what I have learned before is, as far as weeding the infusible ink, you do not use the weeding tool. You can use tweezers if you have a small area that needs to come out, but basically you just kind of move around. You can hear it crack. So like this. So I need to get the large area off of the transfer sheet that I'm not using, because I'm just going to leave the word intact. And so they suggest that you weed with your hands. This is another reason why our hands must be clean and dry. Okay. And then I think I am going to start in the corner like we normally do. There we go. And I'm just going to start. In infusible ink, this material feels very stiff, almost like a cardstock. But it seems easy to manipulate, kind of like HTV. So that's a good thing. And so we're just going to get the big portions weeded out, and then see if there are any little spots that need to come out. If we can't get the little spots with our hand, then we will have to use our tweezers. Okay, so it looks like, and if you turn it over, you can see markers. So I've got the A and the 2 R's. I'm going to have to pull that out. So that came right up. This is super easy to weed. Like, this is like butter. It just comes right up. All right. Turn it back over, and now you can see the word markers. Okay, so now we're going to get our cosmetic bag surface prepped. So definitely want to use a lint roller, just like any other HTV project. And I am right-handed, so I tend to like to pull my zipper to the right. That might be important if you're giving a gift for somebody. And then I'm just going to try and press out that little line right there. Okay. So I think that looks good. That line is gone. Okay, so according to the directions, this is like a really heavy cardstock. This one's almost like poster board almost. Gonna put that inside to protect the back of the bag. I don't want the ink to bleed through to the back of the bag. So it's gonna be there. Then, just like our HTV, we will put this down. And this is a sticky carrier sheet, just like your HTV. And I actually think that looks pretty good. All right, I'm going to go with that. This is a project for myself anyway, so it is okay. Okay, we put our butcher paper on top. So this is butcher paper, and I just cut it a little bit bigger. You know, I cut it bigger than what I need here. And since I'm using my little easy press, I don't feel like I need a ginormous sheet. I think my mat here is protected, and I've got plenty of, if it were to bleed out a little bit around the carrier sheet, I've got more than enough surface area that it won't get on my easy press. Okay, and then I've got my handy timer. So we're going to have firm pressure, constant movement for 75 seconds. So I kind of just do one end over here, and then I'll move to the other end, and that way I know that both sides have had plenty of heat applied. So infusible ink is kind of like sublimation on paper. It's already been printed for you. It's a good way to get into that market without having a sublimation printer. And the heat will heat up the ink to a gas, and the gas will infuse itself into the surface of your blank. And you do have to have special blanks. And again, I'm just doing kind of 1/2 at a time, just because the word, you know, MAR is 1/2, KERS is another. And I just want to make sure that, okay, so I'm going to move on to this side. And unlike the Easy Press 2 or the Easy Press 3 or a standard iron, this mini press is designed to have constant movement. So in case you're wondering why I am moving it all around, and it is hot, by the way. If you touch the side of that iron plate, you'll burn your little fingers. Okay, so I think we are done. I'm going to remove my pressing mat, and you can see, I mean, this pressing mat is warm right here, but there's no color from the ink on it, so that's great. I'm going to remove the butcher paper, and to be honest with you, you really probably should not reuse the butcher paper. Like, once it's been used, you should throw it away, because if you get any ink of any kind on the butcher paper and reuse it for another project, then it will transfer to the new project. Okay, and then let's see. Oh my goodness. I was not sure this was gonna work, but check that out. And this is what the transfer paper looked like afterwards. I probably could have done a little better on the S, but that still looks really good there. And you know, still some on the end, but that looks really super. Wow, this looks great. And then, okay, I'm going to remove that. Now, luckily, this is, I mean, it's warm, but there's no ink on that either. And the best part, guys, is this is ready to go. Like, I could throw this in the washing machine right now. This is ready to go, and this is like I got it from, you know, online somewhere, like printed, picked it up at a store. This is the coolest thing ever. Okay, so definitely going to be trying out more Infusible ink projects. I encourage you to try Infusible ink projects. And from other things that I've seen, you know, I'm not real sure that a standard iron gets hot enough to actually transfer and infuse the ink. So at a minimum, I would invest in just the little mini Easy Press. So I debated on that for a long time. Finally got one, and wow, it was well worth it. So, and they're really not too expensive. Okay, so now that this is so cute, oh my gosh, I still can't. I'm going to be taking my Infusible Ink markers. I need to keep them separate from my regular Cricut markers and pens. And I'm going to just keep these in here. That was really the purpose of the project. And so, whoa, this will be a great way. I'll know, at least for myself, that this is Infusible ink and inside are Infusible ink markers. Okay, well, thank you for watching. I hope I've inspired you to do something that is new to you outside of your comfort zone and have fun in the process. Until next time, happy crafting.